Welcome into Locked On Now. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Championship week continued yesterday as we raced towards Selection Sunday. Another full day of games. Our Locked On SEC hosts are here to recap anything you might have missed from Friday's day of action. Let's start with the biggest game of the day, where the top-seeded Auburn Tigers were sent packing.
The biggest game.
After getting a bye through the first round, the number one seed Auburn Tigers were one and done in the SEC tournament after falling to Texas A&M on Friday. Our Locked On Auburn host hopes the poor showing is that one bad game the Tigers can get out of the way before a deep tournament run.
That was bad. That was really, really bad as the Auburn Tigers, the SEC regular season champs, fall in their first bit of postseason action against the apparent red-hot Texas A&M Aggies. Who knew that they were a buzzsaw, defeating Florida in overtime yesterday? And they really handled Auburn throughout. Gave up a late push, which is to be expected, but still, props to the Aggies for finding a way to make it to the semifinal game in the SEC tournament. A lot of questions about this Auburn team moving forward. Are they set to be able to succeed in tournament play moving forward? It seems like they'll still be a 2 seed even after their early exit in the SEC tournament. But if their guard play can't clean up just a little bit, they're not going to be able to make a run. Katie Johnson, we thought he was over a slump. That does not appear to be the case. He went 0 of 14 from the floor. That's not good enough. And so we'll see what happens with the Tigers come Selection Sunday. I'm Zach Blackerby. You can check out all of our content at Locked On Auburn.
While the top seed went down on Friday, the number 2 seed definitely showed up. Tennessee pulled away in the second half to take care of Mississippi State without too much trouble. Locked On Vols tells us about the hot hand that helped Tennessee close the door out of halftime.
Not too bad of a start for Tennessee in the SEC tournament. Final score over Mississippi State, 72-59. The 2-seeded Tennessee Volunteers and the 10th-seeded Mississippi State Bulldogs. The story of the night, well, it was Josiah Jordan-James. 4 consecutive second-half triples there early in the second half. Got Tennessee out in front, and they got a manageable lead in this ball game, and Tennessee never turned back. Shot pretty well in this game, 50%. Caused 13 turnovers the other way against Mississippi State, and 5 players scored in double figures for the University of Tennessee. It wasn't that great defensively in the first half, but Tennessee tightened the bolts in the second half for the 72-59 win. Now, Tennessee will wait and find out the winner of Vanderbilt and Kentucky, likely the Wildcats, and that's who Tennessee will score off against tomorrow night in the semifinal round here in the SEC tournament. Final score, 72-59. Tennessee defeats Mississippi State in the quarterfinal round of the SEC tourney. We will have a post-game podcast coming up here momentarily right here on Locked On Vols.
The must-buzz rolled on as Arkansas knocked off LSU to secure a date with Texas A&M in the semifinals. Locked On Razorbacks goes over the final and what has been a dominant season for the Razorbacks over LSU.
The Arkansas Razorbacks defeat the LSU Tigers for the third time this year. Third time's a charm for the Razorbacks, as they will be moving on into the SEC semifinals in the SEC tournament, and they will be facing the Texas A&M Aggies, like we all expected. The Razorbacks played great, especially in the fact that Audice Toney was battling an ankle injury. Didn't affect him too much in this game, as he goes for 22 and 10. Also got a great game out of Chris Lights with 18 points that he was able to pour on. And the Razorbacks are going to look and try to be able to win their first SEC tournament since 2000. Only 2 more wins left for the Razorbacks. Can they go on and do it? We'll talk about that and a lot more, and be sure to follow the Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
LSU had been on a hot streak heading into Friday's quarterfinal, but couldn't quite get over the hump to beat Arkansas. Locked On LSU says the Tiger offense just fell flat and couldn't keep up with the Razorbacks down the stretch.
Hey y'all, Caroline Fenton from Locked On LSU here, and it's official. LSU bounced from the SEC tournament after getting beat by Arkansas 79-67. Now, I went into this game with all of the confidence in the world because LSU looked great against Missouri, and LSU looked great in their regular season game against Arkansas earlier in the season. So I thought, okay, carry this momentum into the later rounds of the tournament. And I was a little bit worried about their offense, but I saw what they were able to do against Missouri, and I thought, this is going to be an LSU team that can absolutely compete for the tournament. I thought this is going to be an LSU team that has solved their offensive woes. They came out strong against Arkansas, and then ultimately that offense fell flat. Arkansas had a little bit of an offensive hiccup there, and LSU absolutely could have capitalized off of it, but they didn't. The offense absolutely fell flat and ultimately fell to Arkansas, getting bounced in the SEC tournament. Now, what's next? We'll await their NCAA seeding on Sunday.
That's going to do it for us today. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. Now that we're done here, make sure you check out Locked On SEC and your team's Locked On podcast. I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been Locked On Now.